Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to EFL Championship predictions. We've got 12 massive games coming this weekend for the 24 Championship teams. And of course, I am joined, as always, by Sophie. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. I did just get the better of you by 1 point last week, which closes the gap a little bit, but you are still just in front overall.
Yes, slightly, but I can't let you close the gap anymore.
It's close, and we're about a third of the way through the season. Guys, as always, do make sure to show some support on these videos before we get into it. It is free to hit the thumbs up button, and your support on the Championship predictions has always been fantastic. Let's go for 900 likes. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button down below. It is free to do, and it just really helps the video perform well and reach new viewers. Do also make sure to subscribe as well if you haven't already. I know most of you brilliant people watching have already subscribed, but if there's any of you that haven't, make sure to subscribe and help us out as we are trying to push for 50,000 by the end of this year. Let's get straight into the predictions now, Sophie, starting with Blackburn Rovers versus Preston North End. This is a bit of a derby, and it's a good matchup between two teams chasing for the playoffs. I mean, last season these two were chasing for the playoffs, and I remember, like, with about 2 or 3 games to go, they played each other. I think it was at Deepdale, and it finished 1-1 with Dominic Hyam scoring a late own goal, and in the end that goal cost Blackburn making the playoffs, and Preston just fell short of the playoffs as well. I think this one will be close. They both look like they could be competing for the playoffs again. Preston North End are back into the top 6 now after beating Coventry City last week. I thought they looked pretty good. Ultimately, they just took their chances, which is something Coventry can't do. As for Blackburn, great win at Norwich City last week. Yeah. Norwich, another team, I suppose, like Coventry, on a bad run. Things really not going well there, but Blackburn took full advantage. So, I tell you what, I'm going to go down the middle here. 2 really decent teams. I think they're both going to score, and I'm going to go 1-1.
Yeah, it is 2 good teams this year going at it. So, I can see why you're sitting on the fence for this one, but I'm going to have to lean towards Blackburn. I've been very impressed with them. Not taking anything away from Preston, because I've been impressed with them too. But I am going to lean towards the home side in this one. But a close game, 2-1.
2-1, okay. Right, next up, Soph, we're going to go towards the Stadium of Light, where we have got Sunderland versus Birmingham City. Now, Sunderland, their form has been a little bit patchy. They're not really stringing together many wins, so they're not in the top 6 at the moment. They take on Birmingham City, who are not near the top 6 anymore. Their form's really sort of dropped off since Wayne Rooney's come in. I'm not completely blaming Wayne Rooney, because I think he's had some very difficult first few fixtures. Yeah. And they got their first point under Wayne Rooney against Ipswich last week. Birmingham went 2-0 up for Ipswich to come back and get a draw off them. I think this could be close, but I'm just going with the home team here, Sophie. I think Sunderland just pinched this. Wayne Rooney's Birmingham could do with some easier fixtures, really, to try and boost the confidence and get a good run going. Going to go Sunderland 2, Birmingham 1.
Okay, yeah, I agree that it's going to be like a fairly close game, purely because Sunderland aren't in the best of form at the moment. Birmingham aren't in very good form. It was a good performance, actually, for the most part against Ipswich, and then obviously to concede 2 fairly late on, it's not great. Just come away with a point, but I wasn't expecting that either. So they could be coming into this with a little bit more confidence than they have after their defeat after defeat after defeat. But I'm going to edge the home side as well. 1-0.
1-0. Interesting. Both going for Sunderland in that one. Do share your thoughts on Sunderland versus Birmingham City. Next up, we're going to go down to South Wales, where we've got Cardiff City versus Norwich City. Sophie, Cardiff are in really good form at home. In particular, at home. They've been all right away as well. They got a 0-0 at Stoke City last week, which is a decent draw. But they are the best home team in the Championship based on everyone's last 6 home games. 5 wins and 1 draw. Incredible. And what an opportunity to keep it going against Norwich, because Norwich are crumbling. As of recording this on Wednesday, David Wagner is still at Norwich, but it does seem like a ticking time bomb at Carrow Road, which could explode any moment and Wagner could be thrown out the door. I actually quite like David Wagner as a manager. I do. It's just a shame it's not working, and eventually something has to change, and in today's modern football, it's the manager that has to go. I think this game is going to go along with the form of both teams. Cardiff keep winning and getting good results. Norwich just keep struggling. I'm going to go Cardiff City 2, Norwich 1.
I'm going to go quite convincing with this one. I think after this game, it could be curtains for David Wagner, which is a shame because he seems like a nice guy, but it's not working at the moment. And as you said, in football, there's no time for patience. So, 3-0 Cardiff.
Oh,
yeah, I can see it happening there. They're in good form, and as you say, they're good at home. Norwich aren't in good form, so it could be a bit of a beating. 3-0.
Goodness me. It certainly feels like it could go that way based on the form book. Speaking of battering, Sophie, will we get one at the CBS as Coventry City hosts Stoke City? Coventry come into this game on the back of 4 defeats, no wins in 5. And just remember, Sophie, this fixture last year Stoke came and beat us 4-0 at the CBS when we were doing really well at the time. And now we're doing really bad. God knows. This is difficult. Stoke are looking pretty good at the moment.
They are.
They did just get a 0-0 against Cardiff last week, and maybe with Coventry being at home, I've got more trust in Coventry to get something. Look, Coventry could win, but right now it's hard to see it. You know, when you've not won for ages, you just think it's never going to come. So I'm going to say, in my opinion, at best, I think Coventry might get a draw. And I think we might get one because we've lost 4 games in a row. We've got to be so desperate to get something.
Yeah.
But I don't see us winning because Stoke City have been pretty solid so far. I'll go for a Desmond. Coventry City just can't keep a clean sheet, but we did show that we can score a couple goals at Preston last week. I'm going to go Coventry 2, Stoke 2, but if I had to lean towards a team, it would be Stoke.
Yeah, painfully I agree. I'd love a draw, to be honest, just to stop that rut of defeats. But as we've said, Stoke have turned a corner. They've been hitting some good form. I know their last result was a draw, but before that, it's 2 wins against 2 good teams, or 2 informed teams. I'm going to have to back them to win. I'm taking my bias out of it for this one. It hurts me to say, but I'm going to lean towards Stoke. Do you know, I can see it being a draw until like the final few minutes, and then Cov just doing a Cov and conceding, throwing it all away. 2-1 Stoke.
Oh.
Let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on. Great. Okay, next up, Soph, we're going to go to a bit of a Yorkshire derby. We've got Hull City versus Huddersfield Town. Hull City, Sophie, they lost last week to West Brom. It's not like them, really.
No, but West Brom are in good form, actually, so...
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yep. And Huddersfield didn't lose last week. That's not like them.
Not like them, no.
That's not like them. What happened last week? Huddersfield got a 0-0 draw against Watford. And Hull City, yes, they lost 3-1 away at West Brom. Hull City's fixture certainly the more difficult there, in my opinion.
Yes, yeah.
I think Hull City win this. They're at home now. Huddersfield Town, they're just looking to me like a team that's just trying to pluck out points where they can to keep themselves out of trouble. That 0-0 at home to Watford last week is fine, but not totally inspiring, I must say. Yeah. I think Darren Moore's just sort of running the risk at the moment. He's got them above the bottom 3, but if Rotherham or QPR get back-to-back wins at some point, Huddersfield look like they could be in trouble. So I'm going to go for Hull City for a pretty convincing win here. I'm going to go Hull City 2, Huddersfield 0. I think Hull City have a good chance of making the playoffs this year. I actually really like them. As for Huddersfield, I think they might stay up, but they're not totally convincing me.
Yeah, they're not totally convincing me either, but I'm going to say it's going to be a little bit of a tighter game because they can, as we've seen last week, they can hold on for a point. But I feel like the Tigers will have enough just to see it over the line. But it's going to be a tight one for me, actually. 1-0.
1-0 Hull. Okay, yeah, I think I can see them getting a clean sheet. We'll both agree on that one. Right, next up, Soph, we're going to go down to Portman Road, where it's Ipswich Town versus Swansea City. It's not too concerning, but by the standards Ipswich have been setting, to go 2 games without a win is a bit of a surprise.
It is, and I've seen that the Leeds and the Leicester fans are loving it all over social media, saying that the wheels are falling off. But let's be honest, who expected Ipswich to be up there anyway? So they're doing really well.
And they're not even losing.
No.
They've drawn 2 away games. It's hardly a crime of the century.
Exactly.
And they're back at home now. This is where, if they draw this, then you start to think, okay, because they're at home. Swansea are a good team,
they are,
but Ipswich are strong favourites for this because of how good they've been this season. So I think Ipswich need to win this, and if they do, they've got to this international break, and they've still got a really strong gap. I think they might just do it. I think it could be close, and Swansea certainly could take a draw out of Ipswich, but I reckon Ipswich can just squeeze it over the line this time. Ipswich Town 2, Swansea 1, and as I say, once they get to this international break, they can take a bit of a breather, look at where they are in the table, and go again afterwards. But Ipswich have got a very difficult December to come. I think they just win this game. Swansea are not bad, but Ipswich just win it.
See, I can see this being a bit of a goal fest actually, purely because last few weeks Ipswich have been shipping a few goals, and Swansea, as we say, they're not a bad team, but I do see Ipswich winning this. But it's going to be an entertaining one. 3-2.
Oh,
yeah, to the Tractor Boys.
There's always, there is always goals at Portman Road,
There
isn't
does
there?
seem to be, yeah. So it's a bit of a safe bet back in the goals.
Okay, next up, Soph, we're going to go to Ellen Road, where it's Leeds United versus Plymouth Argyle. I tell you what I love about the Championship this year, Sophie, is the new teams to the division have been great additions. Leeds United, I mean, they're already a crazy club. They're brilliant, their fan base and everything. Plymouth, what a great addition they are, having a Southwest team, also got some brilliant fans. And once again, I salute any Plymouth fans making this journey. It's always a long away day for Plymouth fans. Plymouth are brilliant. They got a 3-3 draw at home to Middlesbrough last week, Sophie. I mean, you know, Middlesbrough have been so good.
They have.
So Plymouth took a decent point off them there. And I can see Plymouth coming and maybe getting a goal at Ellen Road, but I'm going for Leeds United here. Leeds United, I think I was, you know, one of the only people that does these predictions that actually backed you to win at Leicester last week. And I got it right.
Well done.
I mean, from the start of the season, Sophie, I said Leeds would win the league. I know at the moment it looks more likely Leicester will, and that's who you picked.
But it's not impossible.
But Leeds are coming on strong. And like we said, if Ipswich Town do wobble, Leeds will be there.
Yeah.
Leeds will be there. So I'm going to go for Plymouth to get a goal, but Leeds just to overpower them on this occasion. Ultimately, I think Leeds are going to be challenging for top 2, and Plymouth are going to be staying up quite convincingly. For this game, I'm going Leeds United 3, Plymouth 1.
Yeah, I'm actually going the exact same scoreline. I can see Leeds scoring a few here because they've been looking very good. Feel a little bit harsh on Plymouth saying that scoreline because they have been putting in a good performances, and that's why I'm going to give them a goal. I was tempted to give them 2, but I do feel like Leeds on their day at home, they're the better team, so I can see them winning this one.
3-1 to Leeds, yeah. We're both agreeing there. We both think Leeds United will get through that one. Next up, Sophie, you could say potentially the best game of the weekend. It's Middlesbrough versus Leicester City. Now, this is a really big game because Leicester City come into this on the back of a defeat, and you know, they're going to want to get back to winning ways. Middlesbrough have been fantastic, albeit they've not actually won either of their last 2 games because they lost to Stoke at home, and then they had that crazy 3-3 draw at Plymouth. Do you know what? I could see Middlesbrough win this. Could also see Leicester City come away with the 3 points.
Yeah.
I'm going to go down the middle.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for a draw on this one. I like Middlesbrough. I do like me some Michael Carrick, and I think their fans are fantastic. I think they're going to make the playoffs this year. But Leicester City, I think they're going to get top 2 for me, and like I say, probably win the league. I'm going to go down the middle here. 1-1.
What I will say about Leicester is that was not their best performance by a mile against Leeds. They have been putting in a couple okay performances but still getting the win, but they didn't do that against Leeds. Do I feel like they'll do the same against Middlesbrough? No, I'm going to back a draw as well. I'm going to sit on the fence here because it's 2 good teams going at it. Can't really separate the 2. So 1-1 for me.
You're copying me today, Sophie.
Same again.
You're copying me. What is going on? Yeah, but I can see, you know, why we're saying the same, because these sort of games, they're hard.
It could go either way as well. So,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. That's a hard one to call. Next up, we're going to go down to West London, Sophie, where it is Queen's Park Rangers taking on Bristol City. This is a bit of a difficult one because when you've got 2 new managers,
you don't know what to expect.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, both teams gave it a good go last week. Bristol City getting a win over Sheffield Wednesday, 1-0. And do you know what? They're a lot closer to the playoffs than I think some people realise. They're in the middle of the pack, but if they just string together back-to-back wins, they can move into the top 8 and maybe the top 6. As for QPR, they got a decent draw at Rotherham. A bit frustrating because they took the lead and couldn't hold on. But this is winnable for both. Bristol City should be licking their lips because QPR have got a rotten home record. But do you know what? Sometimes records are meant to be broken, Sophie. And I'm going to go for a QPR home win. I think some of the signs from the Rotherham game last week makes me think QPR are going to battle. They're not going to go down with a whimper. And I think they might be able to try and claw Huddersfield Town down and get themselves out. I'll go QPR 2, Bristol City 1.
Yeah, you say about the home record, that is under Gareth Ainsworth. As we've said, that both teams have got new managers, so it is a hard one to predict. So I'm going to have to be bored. I'm going to say a draw. I'm going to say 1-1. Finding it hard to go either way here.
Do you know what? I had a draw written down, and then I changed my mind because I can't have too many draws.
No.
I keep going for draws. But yeah, I think it will be close. I'm going for the home team though. Yeah. Next up, Soph, we're going to go to Hillsborough, where Sheffield Wednesday take on Millwall. Millwall, another team who have changed their manager, and Sheffield Wednesday have, of course. I don't know, two teams kind of in transition again. This is pretty similar to the last game. I might go for another draw. Do you know what, Sophie? I'm going to go for a Sheffield Wednesday win. Sheffield Wednesday have had their new manager for a couple of games now, and the signs have been...
pretty positive.
Positive, yeah. They certainly look like they're here to give it a better go. Still looks like things are stacked against them, but it's these sort of games when you're at home to a mid-table, bottom half team at the moment in Millwall. If you win this, you make some real progress. I'm not expecting Sheffield Wednesday to start going away to Leicester and winning, but when you're at home to another bottom half team, this is a big opportunity. And with Millwall, I like Millwall. I think they're a good team. I still think they could challenge for the playoffs, but also seem to be in a bit of a transition. So let's give Sheffield Wednesday a much needed win. 1-0.
See, I was tempted to say a draw, but I've gone for too many draws here. I'm going to go for the away side. I'm going to have a good new manager bounce. That's not taking anything away from Sheffield Wednesday. As I said, it's been quite positive with the new manager coming in. There's promising signs there. Also, Barry Bannon had his red card appeal accepted, so he's back for this one, which is good for them. But I see this being a tight game. I'm leaning towards Millwall. 1-0.
1-0.
Yeah.
Both going 1-0, but we're going either way on that one. Do share your thoughts on Sheffield Wednesday versus Millwall. 2 games left, Sophie, and the next one is really juicy. 2 teams in the top 6, Southampton and West Bromwich Albion. This is hard. This is hard. I might go for another draw, you know, but I might spice things up and go for a Desmond Tutu. Okay. Southampton are looking very good under Russell Martin. It seems as if they just needed to get to know each other or get to know how to play his new system, and now they're starting to pull the results through. Last minute winners away from home, scraping them 2-1, 1-0. That's the sign of a top 6 team and potentially a top 2 team. I think at minimum Southampton right now look like they're going to get top 6, and possibly West Bromwich Albion will as well. West Bromwich Albion don't have the luxury of parachute payments like Southampton do, but I do like Carlos Corberán as a manager, and they just keep finding a way with these results. So I think they could try and make it difficult here. I would maybe make Southampton slight favourites with the home advantage, but for me, too close to call. 2-2.
Yes, I don't see West Brom conceding that many. They've looked very good defensively. I think their keeper currently has the most clean sheets. But it is Southampton as well, and they've got that quality. This is really hard. I'm going to go towards West Brom, actually.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm going to say a 2-0 West Brom win. But
wow.
I'm not saying like Southampton aren't going to be in it. They are. They're going to have some good chances. But for me, West Brom win. And 2-0.
2-0, yeah. I mean, keeps up their good little run. They've just beaten Hull City and Coventry and QPR. Okay, we'll move on to the final game, Sophie, at Vicarage Road, where Watford take on Rotherham. Watford 0-0 last week at Huddersfield. They're kind of slowly improving, but ultimately it's not been a great start to the season.
No.
They need to win this game if they want to be serious about actually competing or challenging for anything. But to be fair, Rotherham have been pretty good recently. They picked up some decent points and a great 2-2 draw at home to Ipswich last night. Yeah. But I think Rotherham are stronger when they're at home. They're not a very strong away side, and I think they could be in this, but just fall short. So I'm going to go Watford 2, Rotherham 1.
See, I'm actually going to give Rotherham another draw here, which would be a great result. There's been some promising signs from Watford, but they don't have that consistency and they're not winning me over enough not to lean towards them for this one. So, I've been fairly impressed with Rotherham, their fight they've had in the last couple of games, so I'm going to give them another point. 1-1.
1-1. Interesting. Watford v Rotherham to finish 1-1. There you go, guys. That wraps up our championship predictions for another week. Unfortunately, it's the international break next week. If you've enjoyed this video, though, please do make sure to drop a like. And if you want to see some of our content through the international break and when we come back, do make sure to subscribe. Thank you for joining me, Sophie.
Thank you.
We will see you all in the next one. Peace out.